Okay, you've probably been scrolling through a dozen Kegerator listings, wondering if any of them actually fit under the bar counter you've already got in the backyard patio. I get it, nothing feels worse than dropping a few $100s on a unit that looks great on paper, only to discover you can't even get the keg inside the doorframe, or the tap is so finicky you end up pouring more foam than beer. So before you click Add to Cart, let's walk through exactly what the Kegco 15-inch wide single-tap stainless steel built-in model brings to the table, who's likely to get happy with it, and who might be better off skipping it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest draw people mention when they start comparing undercounter Kegerators is the footprint. The Kegco's 15-inch width is marketed as a perfect fit for tight spaces, and that's not just marketing fluff. In a typical home bar setup, especially if you're dealing with a standard kitchen island or a narrow side wall, a 24-inch wide unit can be a deal-breaker. This model slides right under most countertops that are 18 inches deep, meaning you can tuck it under a small bar table, or even a kitchen prep station without sacrificing legroom. If you're the type who already has a dedicated bar nook and just need a place to keep the keg chilled, you'll appreciate the low profile, no need to rearrange furniture or drill new holes in the cabinets. Now, while the size claim is solid, the real question is whether the internal volume can actually handle a full-size keg. Kegco says the unit can accommodate up to 5 kegs, but the way the interior is structured suggests it's really designed for one full-size 5-gallon keg with room for a few growler-size packs. If you were hoping to stock a variety of brew styles simultaneously, you'll quickly find the space limiting. That's a trade-off you need to flag early. The 5 kegs claim is technically correct only if you count smaller containers, or partially filled 5-gallon kegs stacked or stacked with a spare. Most backyard parties will be fine with a single 5-gallon keg, but if you run a small gathering every weekend and like to rotate between a stout and a pale ale, you'll be swapping kegs more often than you'd like. Let's talk about the stainless steel exterior. The description emphasizes weather-resistant construction, and that's a genuine plus if you plan to keep the unit outdoors or in a garage where temperature swings are common. The metal feels heavier than the cheap-coated alternatives you see on budget models, and that extra mass does help keep the internal temperature stable when you open the door to retrieve a bottle or a tap handle. In practical terms, I've seen people set a similar Kegco unit on a patio deck and leave it there year-round without any signs of rust or corrosion. If you're worried about the unit getting a little sun-kissed during summer barbecues, the stainless finish will hold up better than a painted enamel. The single-tap system is another area where the product tries to simplify things. It comes with a 100% stainless steel dispense line, which is essentially a promise that you won't have to replace plastic tubing every few months. In my research, most consumer complaints about Kegerators revolve around leaky or clogged lines, especially when users try to run the line through tight corners or use low-quality tubing. With a fully stainless path from the keg to the tap, you're less likely to encounter those issues, and the flavor integrity stays cleaner, no plastic taste when the line heats up under the sun. The catch? Because it's a single tap, you lose the flexibility of swapping out a growler-compatible faucet or installing a second tap for a different beer style without a modest amount of DIY work. If your party strategy includes offering both a draft IPA and a root beer on tap, you'll need to make a decision: stick with the single tap and maybe keep a second Anthrax cooler, or invest in a separate dual tap system. Temperature control is a silent hero in any Kegerator. The Kegco model omits a built-in digital thermostat. Instead, it relies on a standard mechanical temperature control knob. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean you won't get the precise 38°F target you might see on higher-end units with LCD displays. For most casual drinkers, the simple dial does the job. Just set it a few degrees lower than you'd like and let the compressor do its work. The downside becomes apparent if you're trying to fine-tune the temperature for a specific style, say a crisp lager that drinks best at 35°F. You'll be guessing, And the lack of an exact readout can lead to a little more it's a bit warm than you'd want. If you're a craft enthusiast who enjoys dialing in the perfect draft temperature, consider buying an external temperature probe that clamps onto the unit. It's an inexpensive add-on that plugs the gap. Noise is